One drink too many could cost you more than just a hangover. Have you thought about how it could land you in jail? Today we're diving into an important topic: how drinking can land you in serious legal trouble, whether it's a DUI, public intoxication, or even worse. Alcohol has the ability to cloud our judgment and lead us into consequences that could last a lifetime. In this video, I'm going to share some real life examples, some personal experiences of how dangerous drinking too much can actually be. If you've ever found yourself in a risky situation because of drinking, or if you're looking to avoid making those kinds of mistakes, this video is for you. Now let's talk about why it's important to stay mindful with the choices you make while drinking so that you can avoid the pitfalls and the major setbacks that drinking too much can cause. Now, if you're like me, you've probably had one too many on more than one occasion. And I've landed myself in, uh, I'd say, above average amount of legal trouble because of drinking. My first day in college, I got a MIP, which is a minor possession of alcohol. Within 4 hours of my parents dropping me off at the dorms, I was already in trouble. Now, I had to deal with a lot of things, obviously. Had to go to court. I was 17 at the time. And so since I wasn't a legal adult, my mom had to come up and go to court with me. I lost my license for a year, had to pay about a $600 fine, which, that's a lot of money when you're a struggling poor college student. I lost my license for a year, so getting around was tough. I had to apply for a restricted license, which I end up getting, but it only allowed me to drive to and from home, when there was breaks from school, and that was about a 3-hour drive each way. So not fun, not a good way to start college at all. I'm lucky my parents let me stay in college, to be honest. So very hard lesson learned. And honestly, I didn't even really learn because I think about a year and a half later, I got my second MIP. And that one, the consequences were even worse. So the judge counted it as my second MIP, which technically they shouldn't have because my first one was before I was 18 and my record was supposed to clear, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I couldn't really fight it. Now, for the second one, the fines were much higher. I think I had to pay about $1,500. I had to do 30 AA meetings, and I had to go to jail. I had to go to jail, Butte County Jail in Oroville, California, for 5 days. And I was 19, 20, and that was quite the experience. I mean, nobody wants to go to jail. And I was so young, I didn't even understand the consequences of what I was doing. I obviously didn't learn from my first MIP, and now I'm in jail. And I go into jail and get processed. I'm in a room. It wasn't a jail cell. It was just one giant room divided by about a 5-foot brick wall. On one side, there was about 50 bunk beds, and on the other side was kind of like a rec room, I guess, just a bunch of benches and stuff. And it was quite the experience. Nothing major bad happened. It was just like, I remember being in there and I was obviously by far the youngest in there. And the people that were in there had committed, way more serious crimes than I had, for sure. I was offered to smoke some weed that some dude smuggled up his butt. I declined. The bathroom situation was a little sketchy. There was bathrooms, but no doors, no stalls, like you were just going to the bathroom out in the open. So I refrained from going to the bathroom for 5 days, and that was interesting. But I luckily didn't deal with any any nonsense. But I remember being there and just thinking like, this is like crazy. Like I don't belong here. I shouldn't be in jail. And did it, I told myself when I got out that I would never go back to jail, which unfortunately wasn't the case. Um, in college, I was arrested three, maybe four times for a public intoxication. Drunk in public is what they called it. Now, with that, there's no fines, there's no ticket. Um, they just put you in the back of a truck with like this, sophisticated camper shell, and you're sitting in there with a bunch of other people that were arrested for drunk in public. They take you back to Butte County Jail, and they hold you until you blow under a .08. So I did that 3 to 4 times. Um, that didn't really like get it in my head. I was still drinking heavily. Maybe I wasn't getting caught or getting arrested for drunk in public, but I was still drinking very heavily for a long time. Fast forward maybe 5-6 years, and I get a DUI. Now, you should never drive drunk. Obviously, I made a mistake. I will say, I had a few beers at a work party, and I was coming off the freeway, and I thought I could make a yellow light. Went through the intersection. There happened to be a cop on the other side of that intersection, and I was almost home. I made a left, and he pulled me over like 2 houses before I got home. And in California, the legal limit is .08, and I blew a .09. And that's over the limit. I was hoping he would just let me go home, park my car, go to bed, but nope. Got arrested, DUI, towed my car, and now I have to face this whole legal battle of fighting a DUI. Now, I thought I could fight it because I was barely over the limit, and so I did. And I had to go to court a few times. I got a public defender because I couldn't afford a lawyer. And I ended up fighting it. I did beat it. They wanted to drop it to a wet and reckless, which is pretty much the same thing as a DUI. When insurance companies look at your driving record, the DMV looks at your driving record, it's still basically DUI. You have to get an SR22, which is special insurance, and a whole other amount of legal issues and money, right? You still have to take the DUI classes. You still have to pay the same DUI fine. So I fought it even further. Luckily, they dropped it to just a reckless driving, which is much better. When there's no alcohol-related offense on your driving record. But I still had to take DUI classes. I still had to pay, I think, about a $3,000 fine. I lost my license for a little bit, but it could have been much worse, right? DUIs nowadays, they're going to cost you 10 grand, easy, with all the fees, the lawyer fee, losing your license for a year. It's just not worth it. And as I look back, I made a lot of really stupid mistakes, and it cost, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money that I could have just avoided if I just would have not drank so much. And it seems so simple now, and I'm sure people watching this are like, well, you're an idiot. I'm like, yeah, I was an idiot. But live and learn. I share these things to hopefully you'll listen to this, you'll watch this, and you'll avoid making these same kind of mistakes. Because in my experience, I mean, things could have been much worse. Many people die every year from DUIs. I have friends that have had multiple DUIs, 2, 3, 4 DUIs, and just the amount of money that goes into it. It makes your life so much harder. If you don't have a license, how are you going to get to work? You have to use public transportation or taxi, Lyft, or Uber. It just costs you so much more money. Your insurance is going to be more. It's really just not worth it, you know? And I think there's better ways to go about it. I mean, back then there were taxis. There's no Lyft or Uber, but nowadays Lyft and Uber are everywhere. So, you know, don't drink and drive. Call a cab, call a friend, call Uber, whatever. As you can see, I had my fair share of run-ins with the law because I just drank way too much, way more than necessary. There's no reason to take it that far. And even though I ran into the law, I had to waste a bunch of time, money, and energy dealing with the court system. Things could have been a lot worse. There were definitely other times where I drove when I shouldn't have. Definitely, if I would have been pulled over, DUI for sure. I could have hurt someone really badly. I could have hurt myself. Um, just being really stupid. And you don't have to go through that. Alcohol gives you a sense of a false identity, I think. It could be called liquid courage, but it's not really courage if you need alcohol to do these things. A lot of times you do things that you wouldn't normally do. You think your abilities are way higher than what they actually are. You say things you wouldn't normally say, and a lot of times you wake up the next morning regretting it, embarrassed, ashamed. You have that feeling of guilt. So I hope you got something from this video. Don't make the same mistakes that I did. You don't have to take it that far. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave it in the comment section below. Please like, share, and subscribe. And always be kind to yourself. And I'll see you on the next one.